What's up, everybody? I'm Justin Maytat. I'm here with my sister, Melissa Matak,
Hey, everybody.
and we are Room 51, podcast where we talk about all things board gaming. Today, we're doing our Speak Up Game of the Month for April. It's a monthly segment where we talk about some game that just isn't getting enough love or as much love as it deserves to be getting in the board gaming community. So, Melissa, what is your pick?
All right, so my Speak Up Game of the Month is it was actually a Kickstarter that I had backed a while back. We just started getting it. I think people started getting it now. I think some people are actually still possibly waiting for it at this point, but I got this game probably a month or two ago, I'd say by now, and
Okay.
I'm actually talking about the Silver River.
Nice.
Takes up the whole screen there. This is a 4X style game that plays in 2 hours, and it legitimately does. It delivered what it promised to do, I think, and I thought it was cool. So the Silver River, apparently the title comes from how some people refer to the Milky Way as the Silver River, and that's where that comes from. All the alien races in here are all alien races that that people believe to be real, right? Or they're part of our actual lore, and then those races, their special abilities are based off of the lore uh, that we ourselves have created. um, which is really cool. I thought that concept was awesome. This game actually brings, and it's probably my favorite part of the game, it actually brings exploration into the fold, I guess, where you can go ahead and you're exploring around the place, and then you pick up these exploration cards from this deck, and some sort of story kind of happens, and you usually have some sort of choice to make. Sometimes a side quest can come out of it. Sometimes you have to shuffle in another card into the deck because the choice you made might have some sort of other consequences later on in the game that might show up later on in the game, which is very, very cool. I like that concept. It kind of reminded me of Robinson Crusoe in that way. Um, but yeah, I think that the game is solid. It's a lot of fun. The only issue I have with it is the component quality. It kind of feels like an almost finished prototype.
Yeah.
And I also know that in the Kickstarter, originally what was promised were these big miniatures, because what's also very cool about this game is that you go up against monsters that are in the center of the board usually, and you could team up with your opponents really to take down this big beastie in the middle of the map. Um, and originally the models were very big, which was
Okay.
cool.
Yeah.
And then later, as the Kickstarter went on, the designer was saying how they were going to shrink the models if people were okay with that in order to do something else. I think it was the recessed fleet board, although that was a stretch goal. So I'm a little confused by what was going on there. But I was okay with it at first. I was like, okay, like if it's going to be shrinked a little bit, fine. You know, they were pretty massive. But then you got like these little tiny miniatures for the monsters. I'm like, oh, okay. And then one of the miniatures was broken. Like it's missing an antenna. The antenna is somewhere in the box, and apparently I'm supposed to glue it together. I don't know. The card quality is not very good.
Yeah. I think that this game, the biggest people that didn't give it enough love were the publishers, like the creators of it, when it came to their components.
Yeah, I think it was just the production
Yeah,
team. Like
productions. I do.
it just yeah, I don't know. I felt like a lot of heart went into the designing of the game mechanisms, and I
Absolutely.
feel it. Like the component quality is not great. I will say that I don't like it. I also really don't like that the player shields don't actually uh cover the whole board that you're trying
I
to
hate
hide from.
that.
I really don't like that.
I hate that. That's not a hard thing, I think. Like that
Yeah,
one hurt.
they're not big enough. You can see everything I'm doing, but otherwise, so component quality. When I first opened it up the box, I was very disappointed. But playing the game itself is very, very good. I think I love this game. It hasn't really gotten a whole lot of buzz and love. I don't know why. I guess maybe it's just from a smaller publishing company. It's by Robert Burke Games, I think it's called. And Robert Burke is the designer,
Yeah,
along with Nate Bivens, I think. Yeah, Nate Bivens. So, um, yeah, and the Kickstarter did okay. It funded and it reached some stretch goals. It didn't reach all of its stretch goals. Um, but yeah, I don't know. For some reason, this game kind of, I think, went a little bit under the radar. It is a space style 4X game that could legitimately be played in 2 hours, and it feels different. It feels fresh. I like
yeah,
it a lot. So that's my Speak Up Game of the Month, The Silver River.
I agree. That game deserves a bit more love, but I think it's a hard sell because of the production quality. I think that hurts the game terribly. I really like the game, and I think that was a game that, with the gameplay and everything, it could have possibly become a top 25 game for me. And with the production quality of it, I don't know if it's gonna hit my top 51. Like,
I could see it because, yeah, we're in the middle of doing our top 51
yeah,
games of all time. We play this game after we made the list. I could see it potentially hitting the list, but yeah, the production quality really hurts it for
it,
me.
so
But
much.
otherwise, I think that people should be playing this game. It is really good. And who knows, maybe if enough people play it, they'll come out with the second edition of the game and up the quality, and
Would you
that'd be
be
cool.
mad though if they did that?
I wouldn't be mad. It'd be nice if they came out with like a um the
A
first edition
Pathlight.
like a kit to
Yeah,
like
kit.
upgrade
Yeah.
the components. That'd be nice, especially for the original backers. That'd be really, really cool.
I
Um,
think they should do that if they ever did come out with the second edition, because I think the original backers had heart. You believed in that project, and there were a lot of things promised that I think production wise they fell short on. Um, just even
yeah,
the molds, like, of those miniatures are garbage. It's just, they're
they're not
garbage.
the best. They're okay. Um, but no,
Okay,
yeah, they're not the best. I'd say they're okay. I don't think they're like awful. I've seen some pretty bad miniatures, but
from what game?
well, I think Shadows over Camelot's miniatures aren't very good.
I think they're better than that one.
No, 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 no. The
Really,
miniatures in
I
here are not that
I
bad.
I gotta recheck the both of them. I guess for me, the issue with the miniatures in there is you see the card of what it's supposed to look like, and it's laughable when you then look at the miniature.
Yeah, so it doesn't look as epic. I
It's
don't think that
insane.
the mold itself is bad. Like, I don't think that the
Maybe.
quality of the miniature is all that bad. It's not that great. They could have looked cooler. I wish they were
Yeah.
bigger. I don't know.
The one that's supposed to look like Godzilla looks like a sheep, so
Yeah, that's true. But overall, this is my pick of Speak Up Game of the Month because
yeah.
I think that it is a very solid game and it's a lot of fun. It brings new things to the 4X genre, I think. And I don't know, I dig it. So that's
I
my
agree
pick.
with that. So, all right. My pick is a game that very few people love. It got mentioned on the stream with We Game Together, and Randy was so hyped when I mentioned this game. Because, like, nobody plays it, nobody talks about it, and I'm gonna be completely honest, it's for really good reason. It is Championship Formula Racing. So let's just take a look at this box cover for a second. Why are the cars black and white? I don't know. You could have made it look cooler. All right, so on to the next part. Honestly, no, there's a lot of issues that I personally have with this game, uh, but the gameplay itself is really good. Like, I've only played it solo so far, also, and I still liked it. Even so, with solo, the Automa could have been so much better. The symbology could have been so much better to make it just a little more streamlined to go through the Automa and
It
everything.
looks like math problems on
It
there.
it is. I actually think somebody like me designed this, because so it was designed by Douglas Scholes, um, and I I love Formula One and I'm a programmer. It feels like a programmer that loves Formula One designed this. because there's literally like if then statements in it essentially for the Automa. Uh, there's like a reference sheet in the back that like tries to tell you what happens with testing and whatnot. Essentially, so the gameplay really tries to simulate a Formula One race. And so here's the first benefit, like the first biggest pro. It gives you 4 different maps, and the boards are really nice quality, and the racetracks are really cool and everything. And they actually do mimic the real life racetracks, which is awesome. And it even tells you the corner names, so like Maggots and Beckett's in Silverstone, if you're familiar. Uh, that's awesome. And the issue is, so since it's trying to simulate a Formula One race, you would think that's very complicated, but it's not. It's really, the rules are not that complicated. The rule book, on the other hand, is 19 pages, completely out of order, and doesn't even fully explain everything that actually happens in the game. Like, it doesn't perfectly explain exactly what they mean for different things. It explains certain things really poorly. The rule book is atrocious. I went online per your recommendation, Melissa, went on to BGG, and somebody made a like fan made reference sheet. Completely just get that, use that. It's way easier. The really cool thing about this game that makes it a good game is that at the start of a race, everybody has to choose 6 different attributes of their car. So that your top speed, that's the highest, the fastest you can go. Your deceleration, your acceleration, your start speed, the amount of wear you'll have, and the amount of still tokens you'll have. that that's something that there's a whole bunch of decision making that goes in there because it shows all the different trade-offs and whatnot that actual Formula One cars have to deal with. The better your top speed is, the more likely you're going to have a difficulty cornering and whatnot. So those types of things are really cool to then see in the game. And again, it's not that complicated. So even if you're not a big Formula One fan, you could still totally play this game and have a good time racing. The other issue though with the game is, they have these really cool tracks on the board and everything, but the cars are so tiny. It's like, come on, man. It doesn't feel as epic because it feels like you're moving. It's practically a chit at that point. Like, I might as well have tweezers and whatnot. So
Yeah,
that
they
right there hurts
actually,
it.
that's a good point. It kind of looks like you need tweezers to move those things around.
It's horrible. Yeah, this is a game that I think it's kind of a den where I feel like this needs a second printing, and honestly, I think it needs another publisher. It was published by Ultra Pro.
Mhm.
I don't know what other games Ultra Pro has published, but they're definitely not renowned publishers of board games. They're more card sleeves and card boxes and stuff. Um, I think that this game needs another publisher because also I think that you need to take what's the bulk of this game and streamline it a little bit more, change up that rule book, make the pieces bigger, and then you're kind of good to go. Oh, also better reference sheets, and then you're good to go because the game really does offer interesting decision making. I think it's something that even if you're not a Formula One fan, you'll still like this game as a racing game. You'll still have a lot of fun with it. It's one that deserves more love, and I think it's kind of like Silver River. If more people in the community start to talk about this game, it might warrant a second printing. I'm actually shocked that this game is still in print. I think it's just Formula One fans maybe that are carrying it. I don't know because it's like, oh man, it's a cool racing simulator. But the game, it needs more love to be put into its production, and but for that to happen, it needs more love in the community. And I do still recommend this, even with all of its faults. I would recommend this with to people, but with warning them about this. So yeah, that's my Speak Up Game of the Month: Championship Formula Racing.
Cool. So it seems that we both picked things that need pretty much another edition. Mostly
Exactly.
for just like component quality. It's the game design there is awesome for both of these.
Both of them have a ton of love that went into
Yeah.
them,
Mhm.
and that's really cool. Because
Yeah.
definitely Silver River definitely has it. Championship Formula Racing definitely has it. You're right.
Yeah.
It needs like a do over. It needs a second chance.
All right. Well, this has been another Speak Up Game of the Month. Thank you so much for listening and or watching. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Melissa McCack or follow our Room 51 Facebook page. Or rather, and follow our Room 51 Facebook page. Just follow us on everywhere. Let us know what are some of the picks that you think. What did you think of our picks for Speak Up? What are some things that you think don't get enough love? We would love to know. You've been listening to slash watching Room 51.